My name is Christina Hohorst, and thank you for joining me this morning for the PTAP Round 22 Call for Projects webinar. If you have any questions, if you could kindly go into the Q&A chat, I'd really appreciate it. And it looks like we have 44 participants this morning. If you, you should have received last night a copy of this presentation along with the call for projects. We'll just go on ahead and get started. Okay, so first of all, this webinar is being recorded. Everyone was entered in mute. So, if you're, calling, we usually say, please mute your phone because some folks are calling in, but I'm realizing now that we're we're using the webinar function. So MTC just got started with Zoom, and I got the higher quality webinar function for you guys this morning, and that's what I'm using instead of the meeting function. So in the meeting function, you would have to mute your phone, I believe. Please ask your questions using the chat feature. It's a question and answer feature, so you'll see a little Q&A. John Schabowski successfully used it, so if you could do that. The chat function is not something I can see. I can see the Q&A function. Just make sure that you use that function because that's where I'm going in to answer your questions. So I'll be answering questions in the webinar for everyone to hear. If anything doesn't come through, then what I'll do is just go on ahead and write the answers in. If for any reason this is unsuccessful, the question and answers, I'll write any answers in the email that I'll send out after this presentation. And of course, a copy of it will be emailed to all webinar participants, the recording. Let's see. I don't know why. There. Okay, so what are we talking about today? The program overview, our funding, who's eligible for PTAP, what is the application like, our process and schedule, and then answer any questions that you may have at the end. So PTAP is about providing resources to jurisdictions so that decision makers can make good cost benefit analysis and decisions about pavement. So this is kind of a way for them to really get to listen to the technical experts in the jurisdictions and to educate decision makers about pavement and also non-pavement. And so if anybody wants to see the resolution for PTAP, it's resolution 4078, and I can send that to you. I have one question about the call from projects last night. I did send it last night. And so what I will do is I'm going to resend it. So Leah, thank you for your question. What I'll do is go on ahead and resend all of that information together to everybody who registered. Those are the folks that I sent the emails to last night and this morning. So I'll make sure that I resend all of the materials in the next email. So where does the money come from? It's federal surface transportation funds. We only have 1.5 million a year, and this amount has stayed the same for the entire time that I've been working on PTAP, that I've been as the administrator. So that's a good 6 years. And we have an annual call for projects. So every October we release a call for projects so that we can get as much data updated in MTC's region as we can. The way that it works is that 20% of the total project cost is paid by you, the jurisdiction, and the project amounts are between $15,000 and $100,000. Everybody in the Bay Area is invited to do this, all 109 jurisdictions. So that includes all of our counties and cities, and we give priority to any local jurisdictions whose PMS certifications have recently expired, are going to expire within 6 months. So, you know, we're really making sure that anybody who's not updated on the PMP certification status listing is served with the PTAP program first. You know, I like to say, to tell folks that this isn't so much a competitive grant as it is a way of making sure that we visit each jurisdiction so that we can update all of our data collectively for the Bay Area. So this isn't something where, you know, it's you know, based on merit. It's more based on the last time your data was refreshed and when your eligibility your certifications expires. So that's how we score the projects, and I'll go more into that later. So we recommend that you apply if your certification is expiring in 2020 or 2021, if it hasn't been inspected since 2018, and we ask that you send a request for extension if your certification is expiring before January 2021. So if you're in a situation where you're about to expire and you're going to apply for PTAP, you're probably going to get in, then what you want to do is, even if we will announce who the grant winners are in January of 2021. But if you expire before then, if you expire in November, December, then if you send me an extension, then what I'll do is just make sure that your PMP certification is updated. And we really want you to keep that certification updated, because especially, you know, we're looking at OBEG 3 now, and if anybody checks the certification list, then it's possible that any discretionary funds can be denied until your certification is updated. So it's really important that you go on ahead and make sure that you get this certification letter in, and give me a call if you're confused about it, or send me an email. So what we do is we provide consultant assistance, not cash, for the following types of projects. And so that's the pavement management system, which is a majority of the projects, and then non-pavement asset management. So that's anything that's not on the streets. And you know what, now I'm looking at the other chat. I know I sound really a newbie about this Zoom stuff. I'm looking at my comments, and I want to make sure there aren't any questions. How do we request an extension of the PMP certification? Good question, Wujay. What you can do is write an extension, write a request for extension on your jurisdiction's letterhead. And then anybody in the Public Works Department can sign it. And it can just be one sentence saying, please grant our jurisdiction a 1-year extension. So once you do that, and you sign that letter, send a PDF to me, then what I'll do is I'll grant the extension. Most of the jurisdictions right now are eligible for an extension. I looked, if there's a little star by your name on the list, then that means you're not eligible for extension. So, but if you're about to expire, make sure to write to send me an extension. So somebody else, Ruben, is asking me, is there a link to check the certification status for your agency? Yes, there is, and I'll make sure to include it. That link is in this presentation somewhere. So, and what I'll do is make sure to include it in the body of the email. Let's see, how does the non-pavement eligibility work? I'll talk a little bit about that, Gail, as soon as I go further into the presentation. So let's go on ahead and start talking about pavement. The first project, which is Pavement Management System project. So that's your PMS project. This is the project that's associated with the PMP certification status listing. We do about 98% of the projects that in PTAP are PMS projects. So it's so that jurisdictions can understand their pavement condition. The way that PTAP started was, this is where it goes. We're starting PTAP 22. So 22 years ago, 23 years ago, the Bay Area jurisdictions decided that all of this funding STP funding that used to go directly to jurisdictions should come to MTC so that together we could understand our streets and roads assets. And we started Street Saver. And so that's to get cost and benefit analysis information. And it was to help current and future, to understand current and future revenues, to see what, if you had enough money to make repairs that you needed to make. And we did that because small jurisdictions didn't have the support, the engineering support to do this kind of work. A large jurisdictions, you know, a lot of times you have a lot of engineers. County of San Francisco has plenty of engineers who also work in PTAP, but they're doing inspections all the time. But a lot of little jurisdictions really didn't have the expertise. And so we wanted to make sure that we were looking at the whole Bay Area together and doing it in a scientific and rigorous way. So this is the place where you can check your PNP certification status, and this will lead you to an Excel list. Look for your jurisdiction, and you can see if it's red, then that means it's expired. If it's yellow, that means it's going to be within the next 60 days, I believe. And if it's green, then you're fine. Okay, so the scope of work is we're going to run 3 budget scenarios in Street Saver. We're going to provide you with ways to improve your, your pavement management strategies. Our consultants are really, really smart and they know all of the latest treatments. You're going to get an updated pavement management database and a budget options report. And what a budget options report is it's something that you can show to decision makers to show them their options and show them the scenarios that you've run. We can establish full linkage of any pavement data to the GIS map through Street Saver. And the consultants can come to visit your city council or your board of supervisors to give them the results of the actual inspection if you're interested in that. And they can also provide you training on using Street Saver. I have jurisdictions who are very, very experienced with Street Saver, and there are also jurisdictions who they're so small that they don't really have an opportunity to look at this data until PTAP comes around. So everybody, is all ranges of expertise are applying for PTAP, and we can help you in any way you need. So now let's get to non-pavement asset management. What this is it's anything that's not the street or the road. So it's inventory and condition assessments for things like curbs and gutters, traffic signals. And the reason that we started this is we're developing modules so that we can collect this data. Everyone knows that ADA curb ramps are required to be tracked by the federal government now for funding. So, we felt it was really, really important to develop these modules so that we could do the same thing for non-pavement assets that we've done for pavement. I have Graham Wadsworth has a question. It appears that the PNP webpage for search changed. Uh-oh, it looks like that's possible. Graham, thank you. I'll make sure to update that. So let's see. Oops, let me go back. So projects that'll be considered are to develop these modules, and so we're going to be doing more non-pavement asset projects than we did previously. And so the main reason that we do it is to develop the modules. So when I solicit for projects, the project that we're soliciting for now that you have the highest likelihood of getting is if you have a pavement markings project. So Sui Tan, our technical expert, is developing Street Saver, the next module. So this is the most likely project to get chosen. So the non-pavement asset management project is not selected the way that the other projects are. So everybody gets scored, all of the projects get scored, and the priority is to make sure that we collect all the data for the Bay Area. The thing is that So the reason that 98% of the projects are non-pavement is so that we can release the pothole report. It's one of the most popular reports that MTC releases because people really care about that. And we really want to increase the PCI in all of our jurisdictions and for the overall Bay Area and get more bang for our buck. So that's why that's the priority. But we're going to increase the number of non-pavement projects because we know that there's more demand for them. And also we have a subset of jurisdictions who don't use PTAP for PMP projects. So I'm going to go to the next slide and show you the completed modules that we have. If you're a jurisdiction that doesn't really use PTAP for PMP at all and you perform your own inspections, then you can apply for a project for parking lots, ADA ramps, and traffic signs, and you'll get a completed module at the end of your project. If you apply for other types of things, then you can help us develop other modules. So because we're only doing non-pavement and PMP, we're not doing PSNE, which is what we offered last time. That's no longer something that's offered in this program. We want to give folks who don't use PTAP for PMP the ability to use PTAP to assist them with non-pavement. So that's the reason that we'll have more projects. So just make sure, but even if you're not a jurisdiction that does your own PMP inspections, please apply for non-pavement asset management projects. And please, I ask that when you go to Local Streets and Roads Working Group, represent your jurisdiction to let MTC know that you would like more assistance with non-pavement asset management projects. The PTAP is really trying to do it, but we need your help, letting the powers that be know, the commission know that you probably would like more money for non-pavement. Okay, so this is a list of our current consultants. So if you're going to get a non-pavement asset management project you're applying, we ask that you get 3 cost estimates. I know that that's not always a bit possible. If you could get at least 1, I would really be grateful. The thing about non-pavement asset management projects is that they're not costed the same way that pavement management projects are. PMS projects, MTC pays $300 per centerline mile. The thing about non-pavement is that it's about the number of data points. So, you want to make sure what has to happen is that it's a new kind of project. So this is more of a time and materials thing, or being costed by, data point. I mean, consultants have all different ways that they can cost this. And so it's good to talk to them. So if you're a little itty bitty jurisdiction and you want to do a non-pavement asset management project, we don't cost it by centerline mile. We cost it by how much the project is probably going to cost. So there have been a few cases where we granted, someone applied for probably less money. They applied for the amount of money that they thought the project would cost based on their centerline miles. And what we could do is increase that amount. So if you're usually get a $15,000 project, but you're doing a complicated water drainage project, then we're going to increase the amount. It's not going to be based on that $300 per centerline mile. So we really need you to ask the experts, our consultants, how much they think your project is going to cost. So what I'm going to do is, I see that there are a few more questions. Janice is asking, do we request extra money to have the consultant to teach us the Street Saver software in the application? You know what, Janice, you shouldn't have to do that. You might be in a situation where the consultant has done a lot and they might have to charge you, but we usually, if it's a separate training, that's different. You might be able to go to the Street Saver Academy at our website and get extra training. But if you want hands-on training, they can do that for you, but you need to discuss that with the consultant and make sure that it's written in the work scope, schedule, and budget when the consultant visits you. So yes, in short, yes, they can help train you. Graham is asking, if the county has signs and GIS, who is the best person to contact at Street Saver or MTC to connect the data to Street Saver? I would say you should talk to Sweet Tan about that, to go on ahead and see about making those GIS connections. Yeah, I would call Sui. Now I'm going to the other chat, and Sarah, thank you. We're proud of this accomplishment too, of being able to do more non-payment asset management projects. Okay, so these are our current consultants. MTC just put out a solicitation for a new bench of consultants. So these are the consultants under contract now. Some of them will change for the next round. And so, but most, you know, these consultants are working right now with us, and they understand the current cost to do this work. So they should be able to assist you with any costs. So what are your responsibilities as the project sponsor? It's to participate in a kickoff webinar that we have after all the projects are selected. You would attend a separate kickoff meeting with your consultants. And so that's where they would discuss all the work that they're going to do with you. And you would work with your assigned consulting firms to develop a work scope, schedule, and budget. And then you have to submit the PMP certification letter at the end of the project to MTC. And so this is our schedule. If you win, if you get in, then you would need to make sure to stay on schedule. So the work scope, schedule, and budget would happen by around June, because we like to start inspections in the summer when it's beautiful outside. The condition survey and the system updates are going to happen in October. So that's when you're going to get a draft budget analysis and calculations and reports. So once you get that draft BOR, you're going to need to read it and get comments back to our consultant, and so that our consultant can prepare the final project reports and your PMP certification letter by April 1st. And the reason all of the work has to be completed by April 1st is so that for PMP projects, they can get the letter to you, and you can have your public works director sign the PMP letter, put it on, you know, put it on your jurisdiction letterhead, and get that to me by the end of April so that I can update your PMP certification status. It looks like, okay, Hamid has a question. Our consultant does not do non-pavement projects. If we want ADA ramps, do we need to change our consultant? Yeah, I would recommend that you call one of the other consultants who does non-pavement asset management, and they should be able to help you with the costing. Let's see. Mazer, are we automatically on the list for PTAP, or is there an application? There's absolutely an application. So what we'll do is we will get to where the link is for the application. So the end products, wait a minute, I think I skipped one. No, I didn't. Okay, so everybody's going to end up with a final budget options report, or a final report with the completed asset management data set. And so what I want to say is that, you know, this deliverable that you'll be getting for non-pavement asset management, if you're working in a completed module, then you'll get a module, one of the completed modules. If you're working in a module that we're developing, then you're going to get another like a GIS data set that lets you know where all of your assets are. Those are the kind of materials you'll get that'll eventually be able to be imported into the module. You'll also get a PMP certification for 2 years for PMP projects, and you'll get a two-year Street Saver subscription. So after the consultant leaves, you should still be able to use your Street Saver subscription. So what you're going to do is go to this web to here on the website, but you could also just go to the MTC website and type in PTAP call for projects, or PTAP 22 or something like that, and that'll probably get you there easier than typing all of this in on your own. But you should be able to find it if you go to the PTAP website, and it'll take you to the page. The application button is on the left side of the page. So submission of the application, you know, somebody is going to fill out the application, and it needs to be signed by the Public Works Director, but we're not using anything official to get the signature. We're just asking and letting and acknowledging that you've told your Public Works Director and got their permission that they were going to sign it. So they don't have to be the one, you don't have to call them over and say, hey, come to my computer and sign this for me. Just to discuss it with them and say, I'm going to type in your name and your email address and hit send, because that means that your Public Works Director has signed it and acknowledges that they're gonna, pay the 20% local match, that kind of stuff. The system doesn't send out email confirmations. I have been trying to update this application in our system, and the RTP took the programmer's time this year, so they didn't get to update the functionality of my application. So we're hoping to send out email confirmations next year, but you're not going to get one this year, I'm sorry. But you will be able to go back into the application and look at it again. So after it's signed, if you can get back in, your application is there. I got it, trust me, because it all goes into a file, and when you go back in, it pulls out of that file. So if you can go back in, your application is there. If you go back in and it's not there, call me and I will help you. And you do not have to print it out and sign a hard copy. You don't need to mail it to MTC. We're all digital now. We finally came into the future on that one. Okay, so scoring criteria. So this is how you know that with the likelihood of your getting in. So there's the project scope. PMS projects get higher scores than non-pavement asset management projects, because as I said, this is about collecting our data and making those cost benefit analysis decisions. You get points based on the number of centerline miles. Now we use this in scoring non-pavement too, because it depends on the size. We know that smaller jurisdictions a lot of times need a little bit more help than large jurisdictions that have big public works departments. Prior PTAP recipient, when was the last time you were in PTAP? If it's been a while, if you were in PTAP 18, you're gonna get 30 points. If you're in PTAP 21, you're probably not going to get that many points. So this is how we make sure that someone who's been served already, it kind of falls to the bottom of the list, and someone who needs that certification floats to the top. And so also certification status. So anybody whose certification is about to expire is going to get a higher score than somebody who is already certified. Okay, so the way that we assign consultants is in the application, we ask you, please, tell us who you prefer. Now, you don't know who the consultants are in the next bench. So, but a lot of times consultants come back. If there's somebody you like, just name them. Some of you have been working with this program for a long time. Just tell me who you want. And if that consultant is on the bench, and it's your favorite consultant, I'm going to do my best to send that consultant to you. The thing is that I also have to consider geographic proximity. I also have to consider the history of working with the consulting firm of the jurisdiction. So MTC has to switch your consultant if the firm's gone to you 3 times in a row. It's a part of our quality control process. We want to send the really we have some consultants that do all sorts of work and that are these huge firms, and then we have small firms, and we want them to check each other's work. So the way you do that is you switch everybody around. So I need to make sure that you don't have the same consultant if you've been working for the same place for the last 3 cycles that you were in PTAP. Another consideration that I have to make is I have to balance the amount of projects that each consultant gets. Caltrans, I need to justify to Caltrans why I gave one consultant more business than another consultant. And the way that we do that is we have to use the points to the points that they achieved on in the RFQ process. So that's another thing that kind of limits how I can assign consulting firms. So, once the selection is made, I can't really change it because it's gone to the commission. So just make sure that you let me know who you want to work with so that I can try to assist you. So here's our schedule. We released the call for projects on October 9th. The applications are due on November 16th. And MTC will take this to its admin committee in January 2021. That's when we will be announcing or hiring the final bench of consultants, and then we'll have all of the projects divided amongst those consultants in that administration committee memo. And if you have any questions after this for regarding technical assistance, so that means regarding the street saver, how, do you have any questions about the 8 distresses in street saver and in doing any PMP system work, or if you have any questions about the non-pavement asset modules and how they work and what you might get, squeeze your guy and you want to give him a call and or write him at this email. And if you have any questions about the call for projects or about administration of the program, about the funding, and about your PMP certification status, you want to give me a call or shoot me an email. I want to look and see if there are any more questions. So I'm in the chat and I don't see any more questions there, but I'm going to the question and answer and I see, okay. I see someone asked, the application autofills the request for the 79 miles only. If we want to add on asset management, do we just increase the amount? Or do we need backup documentation of why we're requesting more money? No. So when you go into the PTAP application, what you're going to do is it's going to ask you if you want to apply for PMS or non-pavement asset management. So what you would do is click both of those, and then you're going to have the ability to apply for both projects. So everybody can apply for 2 projects. You're not restricted to applying for just one or the other. As a matter of fact, I prefer that you apply for both projects if you're interested in non-pavement asset management, because it gives MTC more chances to develop modules and to develop our non-pavement asset management, suite, and to develop your data so that you can make those decisions, because we really want to support you in that. So no, if you want to, the time that you would, so that would be requesting more money because it's 2 projects. If I'm not allowed to provide 2 projects to a jurisdiction, and we're not supposed to provide two projects to a jurisdiction back to back. There are special circumstances that makes it necessary that we do that sometimes though. So what I would like you to do is just make sure that you apply for what you want, ask for what you want. And also, what I like to tell folks is, the management and my boss sees how many folks are applying for non-pavement asset management projects. So if you're interested in that, just apply so that they can see that all of you are interested, because we're really trying hard to try to find funding to put there so that we can do more of these projects. So so someone asked, what is the difference between PMS and PMP? So a PMS is a pavement management system and a PMP is a pavement management program. So they're very similar. The actual system is, how a jurisdiction actually goes about checking their PCIs and then doing cost benefits analysis and then maintenance and rehabilitation. So that's a system. So the system is at the jurisdiction, and the PMP, so pavement management program or a pavement management project, those are 2 things. Pavement management program is PTAP, pavement management project is, the project that's assigned to you guys when you're doing that's the actual project. So there's the PTAP program project. So that's, there kind of is a very subtle difference, but not much of one. So, but the system is basically what's happening at the jurisdiction. If there aren't any other questions, oh wait, let me see. I'm looking for something else. I'm looking at one more question. Someone has asked, can we use consultants for developing PS&E for pavement rehab projects under the non-pavement asset management projects category? You know what? We can't do that anymore under PTAP. It's okay to buy extra work from your consultant. If it's in resolution 4078. And so right now, because we removed the design element from the resolution, that's no longer something that you can buy and piggyback on MTC's contract with. So we can do non-pavement if you want to buy some non-pavement work, or we can do more of your jurisdiction if you have a large jurisdiction, but not PS&E. That would have to be procured separately with the consultant. Let's see, I'm going to check and see if we have any more questions. Can the non-asset management info be put into other programs such as GIS or Cartograph or just into Street Saver? It should be able to go into GIS, because what's happening is, see, most of the modules aren't developed. The modules that are developed, you would get a module, so it would go into the module. You know, to get specifics of how it happens, I would contact Sui. Why did I say Twee? I would contact Sui, and he will give you specifics, but the data is flexible. It should be able to move back and forth because, you know, it's important. We want it to be that way so that we can do analysis. Let's see, I'm looking at the other one. Let's see, I don't see any more questions. So if there aren't any more questions, do we have any more questions? If there are none, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. I'll be sending out a link to this video so that you can send it to your friends and family, so that you can take a look at it and maybe send it to anybody who needs to see it. Yes, thank you, everyone. Everybody, please stay safe out there. Take good care, and hopefully we'll get to do this in person one day. Bye-bye.